Noise is a powerful tool in synthesis because it can be used in so many ways. For example, to add bite to a classic synth voice, as overlay percussive element, to add texture and grit to sounds, or even as a modulation source. However, noise comes in many different shapes. Beside white noise, which has a very evenly divided frequency range, classic offerings are pink and brown noise with fewer high frequencies, and blue noise with fewer low frequencies. Which type is best for your sound depends on what you want to do with it, so just experiment. For example, to add texture to a bass-heavy sound, you might want to avoid a lot of low end in the noise. But bright floating melodies can benefit from dark noises and textures. Noise is just a very fast, random fluctuating voltage, so with the modular you can make your own. For example, here a random sample and hold style signal is used to create noise. Controlling the frequency allows you to sculpt the character. And this is the sound of a quad self-modulating square wave oscillator. Again, with lots of control. And perhaps my favorite, sampled noise. This is especially interesting when combined with things like glitchy field recordings. It can add a lot of subtle variety to your sound, with a lot of character and natural movement. This year I'll put the focus on independent, unsponsored videos like this. If you want to support my work or get access to PDF sheets with hundreds of patch illustrations I used in my videos, have a look at my Patreon. You can also support my work through affiliate links in the video description. I made a sample pack with 10 noise loops for Patreon members, but you can use any kind of noise for almost all patches in this video, so just experiment. Noise is a great way to add texture to a synth voice. Within a modular, there are many ways to achieve different effects. Here's a classic setup with an oscillator, mixer, filter and VCA controlled with a sequencer and envelope. The mixer after the oscillator makes it possible to mix in noise before the filter. To bring out some of the dynamics, you can use something like a smooth random voltage or LFO to modulate the filter as well. Here's the same voice, but let's use sampled noise. Even though this is already more dynamic, adding random filter modulation is still nice. If you like the sound of the noise to punch through more, you can patch a mixer between the filter and VCA and mix the noise in there. In this case, the noise isn't filtered, but the VCA still controls its volume. White noise adds a bit of a hi-hat-like sound, but you can use sampled noise to add more dynamics from the start. Different samples will lead to different results, of course. Modulating the envelope decay in setups like these can bring out and emphasize the noise on certain steps. If you are using static noise, you can send it through a bandpass filter to shape it. This can cut high or low frequencies from the noise. Of course, This also allows for movement in the character of the noise as well, as you can modulate the filter with something like a random voltage or LFO. The next demo uses a slow sequence to make the movement of the noise more audible. Here's the same patch with the bandpass filtered noise, but this time again mixed in before the filter of the voice. I show the noise source in these illustrations with a building block just called noise. But of course, if you are using a sample player, you can experiment with modulation to things like the playback speed. This shapes the noise fairly similar to a bandpass filter. I added a bit of delay to this patch. Mixing in noise before the filter is best for some added crunch and dark textures. After the filter is best for layered percussive sounds. If you want more control, another option is to send the noise through a separate filter and then mix it in before the VCA. This allows you to control the modulation and brightness of the noise separate from the voice. To glue the two together, you can use a copy of the envelope to modulate both filters in the same way. This is definitely my favorite way of patching noise, because you have a lot of control over the sound. You can even send the filtered noise through its own VCA complete with copy of the modulation. Here, the noise effectively becomes its own voice, creating percussive sounds on top of the voice. In this setup, sampled noise is used, and an LFO is modulating the pitch to add movement. On top of that, only the noise voice is sent through a stereo delay. Instead of using noise in sync with voice modulation, you can explore independent movement and signal routing. Here's a simple example with a voice with a mixer before the filter. A keyboard is used to tune the oscillator and gate an ADSR envelope opening the filter. Instead of sending the noise directly to the mixer, it's sent through a VCA first. A copy of the gate is used on an attack hold decay envelope with a very slow attack. That envelope is opening the VCA, allowing noise to flow into the mix when a key is pressed for a longer time. In this patch, a crossfader is used instead of a mixer to combine the oscillator and noise source. The same slow attack hold decay envelope is used to modulate the crossfader. In this setup, that's not mixing in the noise, but completely fading from tone to noise. To bring out some extra dynamics in the voice, a copy of the ADSR is used to modulate the wave shape of the oscillator. Here's a variation to that, again with a mixer in the voice, controlled with a sequencer and the noise source through a VCA. This time the sequencer is triggering a plucky envelope to open the filter and VCA of the voice, but a copy is triggering an even faster, very short envelope opening the noise VCA. This creates a noise-based transient only at the beginning of the sound. A smooth random voltage to the filter is added for some extra depth. A rather simple trick to add grit and ambience to a voice or even an entire track is to just send a separate noise sound to your mix. This works especially well with self-made or sampled gritty noise textures. To add more dynamics or depth to the noise, you can add a VCA or filter after the noise source and send a copy of the envelope through an inverter to modulate it. This ducks the noise when the voice goes up. Here, a random voltage is modulating the envelope shape to add more movement to dispatch. Here's the same voice with some modulation to the envelope. Another favorite trick to add some crunch and texture to a voice is to send a noise source through a VCA, mixer and then a nice reverb. Here a copy of the main voice is sent to the mixer as well, so delay is always applied to the voice. A copy of the sequencer's gate signal is used to open the noise VCA. This creates tempo synced gated noise, which sounds great through a stereo delay. Instead of using noise as an audio source, it can be used as a modulation source as well. Here are a few quick examples. Here's the basic sequenced voice again. In this setup, the noise is used to modulate the filter. An attenuator is used to dial in a subtle amount of modulation, which is often key to great sounds. Changing the character of the noise, even when used as a modulator, influences the sound. So you can use something like a bandpass filter and a random voltage to add depth. You can also use a VCA or other tricks from the first two chapters. Another great destination is the oscillator FM input. This works nice with white noise and adds a very subtle detuned texture to the voice. Again, make sure to attenuate the taste. In this voice, an oscillator with wave shaping is used, and the noise is sent through a VCA to modulate the folder. A random voltage is modulating the VCA. Using noise as modulation source is often quite subtle, so just experiment to see what destinations work in your setup. Let me know in the comments if I missed your favorite trick with noise. If you'd like to learn more, have a look here, and as always, smash that like, subscribe and bell button if you want to see more modular content from me. But that's it for now, thanks for watching and see you next time.